Good afternoon to day 350, quarter to 1 in the afternoon, so sorry for the late check-in. I've been out, returned late this morning after being away. You get out this wind, otherwise you won't hear anything I'm saying. This week we weren't going to be working, but we are at the moment because we've got the rear doors now to put in. We've got the landscaping rear irrigation to sort out, and we've also got the issues on the roof that need to be resolved. Unfortunately, I have come into a few issues. The guys have been up on the roof trying to fix the cracks that I asked them to do in the way I asked them to do them, but we seem to have some pretty deep scores in the ground from a grinder, which has not filled me with joy, put it that way. So it's now going to be able to try and rectify that somehow. But anyway, we're using the SL1 crack repairer from Sherwin-Williams, and we're also using a thing called Freedom Flash, which is like a really thick paste that goes over the top of that. But it's there for cracks, not for massive great grinder marks that you want to dig in your own floor. Anyway, the irrigation is being set as we can speak, and as you can see, the soil is now starting to be sort of levelled. That's going to be spraying at the marks at the moment as to where he feels the actual sprinklers will be installed into the pipework. A labourer is working with him today, one of our labourers, trying to just help level the ground as and when they go. I'm up on the roof at the moment trying to help the guys fix the cracks and the broken down rubber cloth that's been put on there before. But now it seems that we're having to try and rectify our own mistakes. So from my point of view at the moment, we've got to wait for the SL1 to go off. So that's been laid down about half hour, 45 minutes ago. I'm not too sure how long that takes to cure. In this sort of heat, it should go off pretty well, I would say. I'd give it a couple of hours at least. But the good thing about it is the stuff just carries on going off regardless of whether it's in the sun, out of the sun, covered or not covered. So I'd probably give it 2 hours. So we'll give it till around about 2 o'clock, and then we'll put the Freedom Flash over the top. Freedom Flash is a very thick, quite expensive product, unfortunately. But again, once it goes over the top and it bonds and certainly the surface is undusty, it grips like you would not believe. So in the next hour, hopefully the SL1 will go off, and once it's off, we can actually apply the Freedom Flash over the top. Again, they recommend to lay it in 3-inch widths, but obviously we need to do 3 of those. So it's like literally the centre crack, 3 inches, and then we'll do another 3 over the top of that. If that's the case, I'll probably do the left-hand one, the right-hand one, and then the centre over the middle. But either way, from my point of view, it's bloody good stuff. The stuff that we did on Saturday seems to have dried really well. So fingers crossed that'll be done. And then we're waiting for a roofer to come back to us with a view to potentially taking up not only what has been laid before, but potentially what we're doing now, unfortunately. Now is about just trying to make sure we don't have any form of leaks. But obviously if he comes in here, I'm just asking him to do a price to take the whole thing back to where it should be, get it filled, get it laid, and ensure that I don't have any leaks moving forward. We haven't had any leaks, by the way. Just the product that's been put down by the company that supply Neck Seal. I don't know what product they used, but it was useless. So they've obviously used a very cheap white rubber from somewhere. And in this heat, mixed with them not preparing the surface properly, it's just flaking up and it's coming away. So the water, it won't take long for the water to penetrate underneath. In England, we would use, probably one of the latest things we use now is rubber sheets. So they do rubber rolls. Some of it comes in 1 metre, 2 metres, some of it comes in like 25 metres. It's a very thick, normally a dark grey rubber. You roll it out, you leave, because obviously it comes rolled or folded, you leave it out for 24 hours, and then you fold it backwards, you roll the floor with a glue normally. You roll that back, you roll it down to ensure it sticks to the glue, then you fold the other side up and do the same again, and then you overlap it around the sides and you stretch it, and you've put fixings through the side. So rather than having rubber that's applied with a roller, we buy it now in massive great rolls and we lay it out. And some of the products now are doing it, say in 25-foot stroke 30-foot lengths rolls. So say lengths, widths. So you're probably getting 30 by 30. And again, all they do is they've used like a special heat gun with a flat nozzle, and they heat the joints and they roll it, and it mechanically seals the two together. And once they've melted together, there's nothing getting them apart. So I was contemplating bringing that over. I still am under the circumstances with the problem we're having, but it's a bloody big roof. So to do it properly, we need to do the whole roof. In order to do the whole roof, it's 92 feet by 46 feet. So it's a bloody big surface to do. So it's not going to be cheap, that's for sure. But the product, we've already paid for a product to go on top, which was the neck seal that didn't work. That was 16,500 Bayesian fitted, and it hasn't worked. But I think it's mainly because there was a high concentrate of waterproof in the concrete initially that was provided by Ready-Mix. That was the first problem, which they didn't assess. And the second problem, I really think, is where they just haven't cleaned the surface properly. As a result of that, it's not bonded in certain areas, and I think it's a mixture of the both. It's a mixture of, obviously, there's been too much waterproof in the concrete, so it can't absorb in the pores. And I also think it's because they've not cleaned the surface properly, so as a result of that, they had too much dust, and as a result, their product didn't bond as well as it should do. So I think that was probably the main problem. And now, obviously, in order for us to lay what we've got to lay, we've got to disc grind all of that off and get it right back to the concrete, and then we've got to blow it, clean it, sponge it, let it dry, and then start again. And that's what I thought we were doing today, but apparently I've come back to 1 inch by half an inch scored disc grinder marks in the floor, which is just absolutely ludicrous. But anyway, I shall chase up the roofer a little later on. That said he's going to come out and look at repairing it for me. Fingers crossed, I can leave it to him. And he should be a specialist at doing it, so we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, obviously, your comments mean a lot. I think we only had 4 over the weekend, but I only uploaded Saturday's video last night. So thanks for the comments we did get, but let's have some more of them. They do mean a lot. And obviously I can learn from them, as well as, you know, I can understand whether it's the information you want to see. So please let me have some. Thumbs up in the meantime, obviously. Sharing and liking and subscribing is a given. But from my point of view, I also met an American couple this morning that came out, recognised me in the car park from YouTube. So if you're watching the video, hi, welcome. Hope you have a great time up in St Lucie. And I say, if you're around this week, give us a shout and nip on down. Other than that, I'll check in a bit later on. So it's just coming up 7 minutes to 1. I'll update a little bit later on how we're getting on. Thank you. Okay, sorry about the wind. We're up on the roof. Up on the roof. As you can see, quite a bit of wind, which is gorgeous, but not for the speaker. Okay, what we're doing up here at the moment, we're just looking at any hairline cracks we physically have, and we're using Freedom Flash, which is a very expensive product from Sherwin-Williams, but it's like a really thick liquid rubber. So concentrating on anything that's been repaired already by someone else, and we're just ripping it up and changing it for this stuff because this is bloody expensive and no one wants to buy it. So we've started off by putting a layer all the way across the front, both sides, going over it, then another one across the top that laps over that one, and then everything else is underneath all the way down. That looks awful, obviously, because it's dark grey. But at the moment that is completely sealed now, and those two run all the way down to here, and then we've just used the rubber on its own without the cloth all the way through to where the cracks used to be. And if you can see this little lump here, this is actually the SL1, which is a silicone, which is underneath that. So here's the products. So you've got Sherwin-Williams Loxton SL1 in the big silicone container. That's what you put down. It looks like this. That sinks into gaps, and has also got a self-leveler. And then you actually have this, which is called Freedom Flash Cool Seal. It's like bloody tar. But anyway, once you put it down, it really does adhere. So this should never leak. And anything we can see that's got a hairline crack, I mean, this is the stuff that was done by the roofers. Without being rude, it's a very poor job. If I had time, I'd have all this ripped up and have it all redone again. And so I'm talking to a builder. Any hairline cracks that have never leaked before, we've just put a little bit over the top. Anything a bit bigger, we've made it a bit bigger. And anything we think needs to be taken up and redone, we've taken up and redone. So we've done quite a bit in the moment. That's just to make sure that anything that's a hairline that doesn't do anything, doesn't cause any problems at the moment, we just don't want the salt air or the water going into it. So we've got a couple of hairlines over here. So what happens is, this is a big slab, obviously. You've got 40 foot by 90 odd foot width. And we had support going right through the middle as a block wall, all the way through here. And then through the middle of the building, we had big steels put all the way through here. And there's also support downstairs in the kitchen that you remember seeing. So what happens is, when there's a slight sag with weight, which naturally happens, the roof gives, but the walls and the steels don't, which means you get a snap, which is where you get the slight hairline cracks. Now, these two were letting in water. So the overhang on the outside of the building, which is 5.5 foot long, they were letting through water into the overhang downstairs, and it was actually coming into the front of the house here as well, because water finds anywhere it can. So now that we've obviously put those down, it completely stopped that. Again, this one was overkill, but again, we wanted to make sure we're doing overkill and all. They're going to have double coats as well, so waiting for it to go off, and then we're going to put another coat on top. As you can see, it looks like cloth at the moment. It should look like rubber. So it's just double coat that's on there, and then we'll put another coat on top of that to make sure that it looks like rubber and acts like rubber. This one was put on a bit thicker, as you can see. It still looks like cloth, but by the time we finish, that will be like this. So anyway, they're scraping out as we speak, which is the product. This product we have put on top, as you can see, we've scraped it off. It beds onto the concrete quite nicely, but in certain areas where they didn't prepare the surface properly, it's been coming away. So the guys are scraping it out in around the cracks, and we'll do that. Now over here, I had the guys paint that area there in white rubber, not because white rubber works really well, but because I wanted to reflect the heat off of the bedroom. So it will do a good job in as much as it will waterproof the surface, not to any leaks. But I also wanted just to reflect some heat away from where we sleep. To the madness. As my cousin Russ says, not just a hat rack, my friend. Also, Tyson in the house. Tyson's in there. The guys have been out and obviously connected up all the pipework today. And now what they're going to do is they're marking all orange all the way around where they're going to be putting the sprinklers. So you can see one in the corner here. You can see one in the middle here. You see one in the corner, one in the middle, one in the corner, and so on. So I hope they're going to actually be able to reach the whole garden from there. But anyway, Tyson is in the midst of obviously just making sure that that's all raked over and flattened nicely. The middle, as you can see, which I said on the video when they got delivered, is not as smooth as it should be, which means they didn't sieve as well as they should have. So that was one of the first ones, lovely and small. The middle one, not desirable. So it spent a bit of time having to rake that through. So anyway, and as you can see, the rubber roof on here that we had done, Lofi says he gets down the ladder one-handed. This is all done, but as I said, there's a couple of patches. Oh, that's not one. There's a couple of little bubble patches here. There's one there, look, that's coming away. So we've got to get up and redo those. Today I did actually manage to get my hand down there and pull up some wet elements in there as well, which weren't meant to be there. So that probably needs a good scrape out. There's been a lot of plumber's cement and all sorts put down there. I've also got to just quickly grease all of the actual screws on these boxes so they don't rust, and also fill the holes that have been made through the parapets for things like cameras, etc. Handprints. Oh, that's from the ladder actually. That's from the ladder. And there's a couple of little patches like I've seen. You can see where it's actually. I think that's where they just left it a bit too thick, and it's reacted. So that needs to be scraped off and redone, as you can see. But anyway, let me get down. So yeah, as I said, Tyson's out here doing that. We do need to start the double doors tomorrow. Double doors. Bifold doors. We need to get those done tomorrow. So that's one thing we definitely need to do. Yeah, that's one thing we definitely need to do. Did you find the hard rake? We only had it the other day, didn't we? I say it'd be easier to do it with a rake rather than hand. Got that big lump in the middle as well now, haven't we? I have to get that out. Big old lump. Okay, yeah, we need to find a hard rake so we can actually rake it through. We still obviously have to do down here, but what they've been doing today is installing the rest of the irrigation, connecting it all up, and at the same time running their irrigation. We're all connected here now, as you can see. They've still got to put all the actual pop-up sprinklers in here, so now we have this pipe going down as well, times 2. And obviously that runs beside our main water feed, which goes down to the pool pump room. That's now run round to here to these, and at some stage there will be a timer on here for the 4-piece out there. So that piece that we've just seen is actually going to be a 4-piece sprinkler system that will connect into here, into the irrigation tank somehow. So we're going to have to think about how to do that. There's a digital timer that's already been put around the front near the mains there. So that's ready to kick on and water the front automatically without me having to go out there every morning and remember to do it. Yeah, and out here still needs a damn good clean. I never did show you obviously the sump itself. We had this sump put in, we had it plastered up. As you can see, that's all there. That's just in case of emergency. So if there is a flood for whatever reason at all, it's just a low point to ensure that we can pump the water out of here. But fingers crossed we'll never need it. But we are on the water table, so when they get a lot of rain and a lot of wind, and like 55 years ago and last year we have a hurricane, then we need that being blown away, that's for sure. We've got quite a bit of this grass being grown through, and they tried to sort of weed some of it here earlier on today, but I don't want to go putting down a weed killer, but at the same time we don't want unnecessary stuff on here, so we do need to think about how to clean this up and prevent it from coming back. But anyway, I was filming my chin as always. The building still has a lot of work to be done, obviously, but it's starting to come together. It's starting to look more like a home, more glass, more homely comforts, and we will be having a slight break, and then kicking back when we're going to start the pool, which is probably going to be in September. So that's going to be the aim: September, pool, and all the other finishings. We want to try and enjoy the place for the meantime. So yeah, gardening probably next, I would have thought. Irrigation, fire pit. Lovely to have a fire pit there, wouldn't it? Who knows? Not exactly on the list of priorities, but it would be amazing, wouldn't it? Marshmallows with the kids and all that. Painter didn't come in today, so things like the bottom steps not been stained. Painting's not been finished. It was going to be late, but then he didn't turn up, so that's why I can wash up in there. But anyway, I'm sure he'll be back in tomorrow. Other than that, it's 3:30. I doubt there's going to be a great deal to change, but if there is, I will check in a minute. Other than that, I will see you soon. Okay, 20 to 5, no major change. Like I said, there wouldn't be. Guys are just packed off and gone. We've lost a rake for some unknown reason. Not sure how that happened. Anyway, that's when things are. Tomorrow's task is going to be, initially it's going to be continuing to try and level this. I want this complete because at the moment we've got the big hump in the middle. We want all that leveled off. We still haven't had the sprinklers put in, so they need to be put in, so we can't really do what we need to do, but I will get them all to level as best I can tomorrow. And then trying to put the bifold doors in the back here. That's going to be the number one priority. So the roof is now pretty much sealed, and you know, all of the cracks that could potentially have any form of moisture in them at some stage have pretty much been sealed. So fingers crossed we shouldn't have any more problems from there. I do need to find the hard rake for them to do that. So God knows where that's gone. Surely someone didn't come to site and nick a rake. Surely there's other stuff they could take that's better, more important than that. I just want to go and get some furniture for the doors and finish the doors off internally tomorrow. And then I may, depending on how many labourers we've got, how many carpenters, sorry, I may get one of the carpenters working on putting the architraves inside whilst me and the other one do the doors here. But I think we're going to be at 1. So that will be the doors here tomorrow. And then later on during the week we'll do the architrave. So other than that, it's another day over on planet Earth here in Barbados. Thanks for checking in. Again, comments as always, they mean a lot. Any advice you have, bring it on. Any positives that you think you found from the videos, please let me know. I will certainly try and check in with you tomorrow. That's for sure. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. Bye-bye.